What's going on, everyone? My name's Tenebris, and today we got a small patch for Nightingale fixing a number of prevalent issues from 0.2. I was busy working away on a revised recipe video when this dropped and thought this was just some minor server maintenance, but it turns out to be a full-on patch here, again with some very keen fixes. So let's get into the patch notes here and talk about the changes from 0.2.1. So the patch notes read, Realmwalkers. Our server maintenance has concluded and our servers are now back online. Please update your game to access the realms once again. It's recommended to restart Steam or Epic or verify your game files to make sure you're on the latest version. The game version will also now appear in the main menu when you start the game. For our game changes here in the art and visual department, various new icons have been added. There's now new short duration blood VFX when hitting creatures. For NPCs, the Nightingale logo has been added to the dialogue option that will start and progress Desma Valavani's quest. And for realm cards, to prevent unintended item duplication, settler cards have had their crafting yields reduced and only apply to generic ingots. They also now have a chance of granting an extra item if you haven't crossed the threshold for a bonus item. And that's an interesting one, and it's a bit hard to understand from the second sentence there of granting an extra item if you haven't crossed the threshold for a bonus item. But still, the settler card was very, very overpowered with the item duplication that you could do, especially with buttons. And so this is, both of these changes, this and the next one, are entirely to reduce that unintended duplication. And then lastly here for resources, button recipes now gives one handful of buttons rather than two and takes half the time to craft. Next for bug fixes, first with progression blockers. They made a fix for server disconnects, Galleys, Dobbin, and Foozler relating to collecting large amounts of crafted items from crafting stations, which it's good to see that fix. It was very easy to trip those server DCs. They resolved a server crash when the player disconnected in the crafting menu of an active crafting station. They fixed a crash that occasionally happened when in combat with scorpions. Shockwave also will temporarily no longer destroy structures as they investigate issues with it destroying structures outside of its blast radius, which is also a very good fix to see. And for art and visual, Aura Node should no longer have unintended dark textures. For audio and sound effects, the multiple pickup SFX will no longer play simultaneously for every item collected from the crafting queue. For controls, they re-enabled the ability to rebind sheathing your items. For NPCs, Holt and Elder Eodon aggro when provoked, chopping trees nearby or being attacked, rather than based on proximity to the player. For the player character, environmental resistance now applies to player stats, so that's going to be very interesting to see how that affects cold and heat and all of the kind of factors around that, like their debuffs and how quickly they accumulate. For previously hungry players that would get to low health but not be downed, this has now been resolved, so you could starve to death again. The right mouse button can now be used to fill watering cans at rain barrels, and being hungry should no longer block health bonus stats from newly equipped items before a player has eaten. Then, for realm cards, newly created estate realm cards should now work as intended, which that's great to see. That was affecting a lot of players. Then for the UX and the UI, the Q UI should no longer stay on the screen after leaving a smelter. And the add fuel text and crafting stations is now localized. And then lastly, for miscellaneous, they fixed a memory leak when doing large amounts of harvesting. Thank you for your patience and for joining us on this journey, the Nightingale team. So let me know, what do you think of this minor patch? I hope it will bring a lot of good with it, resolving DCs and fixing up estate cards, also removing the duping, which I'm sure some folks will be unhappy to see go here, but it's good that the team's removing exploits as they go along. So, thank you for watching, maybe consider subscribing to stick around for all the Nightingale news and info along the way here, but for now I will catch you all in the next one. Until then, peace.